I now hand the conference over to Mr. Manish Karwa from Axis Capital. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Nirav. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Axis Capital, I welcome all of you for the 2Q FY21 result conference call of CSB Bank. Today, we have the management of the bank represented by Mr. CVR Rajendran, Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Pralay Mondal, President, Retail, SME Operations and IT, Mr. BK Divakara, CFO, and Mr. Ganesan, who is the Head, Credit Monitoring and Recovery. I would now request Mr. Rajendran to start the conference by giving some opening remarks, and then, as usual, we'll open up for question and answers. Over to you, Mr. Rajendran.
Thank you. Good evening, friends. A lot has changed in the world since we last met in mid-August 2020 after Q1 results. We are now in a more certain world with a definite signs of economic recovery around us and assured monetary policy stability from RBI side. It was yet another great quarter for us, by far the best in the bank's history. In this centenary year, we have crossed a century of PAT in 6 months' time, as our PAT stands at 122.5 crores. We have been firing from all cylinders, not just bottom line growth, but also top line growth. Well, you would have gone through the investor presentation. I would like to emphasize the following key features of our performance. Earnings growth, quarter on quarter, net interest income has grown by 44 crores, from 185 crores to 229 crores, or by 24%, powered by loan book growth of 11%, improvement in cost of deposits by 30 basis points, improvement in cost of borrowings by 49 basis points, improvement in yield on advances by 20 basis points. Quarter on quarter, non-interest income, ex-treasury profits, has grown from 31 crores to 65 crores, or by 112%, powered by growth in processing fees by 9 crores and booking of PSLC fee of rupees 9 crores through sale of excess PSL lending of 600 crores. Net interest margin improved to 4.49% from 4.06% quarter on quarter. There is an improvement of 43 basis points in a quarter. Apex staff cost has increased by 18 crores, or by 21% quarter on quarter, from 86 crores to 104 crores. AS 15 provisions increased by 18 crores, of which rupees 15 crores was on account of pension costs. 32 employees had opted for VRS during the half year, and this, along with increase in annuity rates, has caused the pension cost increase. Normal retirements of pension optees during the half year was 71. Now only 673 employees, of which 295 officers and 378 clerks are under defined pension benefit scheme, which constitute just 18% of our total workforce. Headcount has increased by 346 to 3,683, but this increase had no effect on the overall payroll, as 169 employees were recruited in the last month of the quarter, and its effect will be visible only on the next quarter results. Other OPEX has also increased by 6 crores, that is 13%, to 50 crores, due mainly to increase in depreciation, rent, facility management, and two-wheeler service and dealer expenses. Overall, total OPEX has grown by 18% quarter on quarter, while revenue has grown by 26%. As far as operating profit is concerned, bank has recorded an operating profit of 302 crores in half year, first half of financial year 21, whereas the operating profit for the last full year was at 281 crores. On a quarter-on-quarter basis also, operating profit has increased by 34% from 129 crores to 173 crores. Cost income ratio has improved from 50.26% as on 30/6/2020 to 47.13% as on 30/9/2020. That is, it has come down by 50%, below 50% mark during the quarter, which signifies crossing of yet another milestone for the bank. Net profit has improved from 54 crores in Q1 of financial year 21 to 69 crores in the Q2, recording 29% increase. Net profit for the half year stood at 122.5 crores as against rupees 44.3 crores in the corresponding period of the last year. Return on assets improved from 1.03 in Q1 to 1.22 in Q2. Deposits have grown by 13% year on year, and net advances by 11% year on year. CASA has grown by 17% year on year. Overall balance sheet size has grown by 25% year on year. Gold loan growth. The gold loans have grown by 1,100 crores.
Hello, sir, can you hear us? Rajendran, sir, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I don't know, Mr. Rajendran. I can't hear Mr. Rajendran anymore.
Participants, please stay connected. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We have the line for the management connected back to the call. Sir, you may go ahead.
Gold loans have grown by 1,100 crores or by 30% quarter on quarter, capitalizing on the tailwinds provided by RBI's relaxation on LTV norms. It may be noted that we still have an average LTV of 71%. Risk-weightable value of the portfolio is only 184 crores. That is, the portion above 78% LTV worked out individually. Above 78% LTV, it is only 184 crores of outstanding. Our yield on gold loans have improved from 12.22% in the last quarter to 12.53% during the current quarter. So, moratorium and asset quality and provisioning. Moratorium book as on 30/9/2020 is around 2,000 crores, which constitutes 14% of the total loan book. We are holding COVID provisions of rupees 60 crores. We expect 60 to 65 crores of exposure to be restructured. As on date, we have not received any restructuring proposal, but this is the expectation after discussion with the clients. Gross NPA has reduced from 3.51% in the last quarter to 3.04% during the current quarter. Net NPA has come down to 1.30% from 1.74% in the last quarter. PCR has improved to 84.24% from 81.73% as on 30/6/2020. If we consider 60 crores of additional COVID provision also, PCR has reached 90%. Treasury. We have booked a treasury profit of 32 crores during this quarter. From mid-August, with the release of MPC minutes combined with the global factors like increase in crude prices and increase in US yields, bond market yields have hardened by about 35 basis points in India. As on 30/9/2020, we have booked a mark-to-market depreciation of rupees 38 crores. Subsequently, the yields have improved following RBI governor's dovish statement, and the MTM losses are less than 10 crores as of now. As far as the capital adequacy is concerned, our capital adequacy has improved from 18.93% to 19.69% due to reduction in the market risk-weighted assets between 30/6/2020 and 30/9/2020, while credit risk-weighted assets increase has trailed loan book growth, as bulk of the growth is in gold loans. In line with RBI guidelines, we have not reckoned the net profit for the quarter or half year as part of the capital fund. Leverage ratio has come down to 7.52% from 8.17% since we have increased our balance sheet size by 1,616 crores or 8% quarter on quarter. We are comfortable above the We are comfortably above the RBI minimum stipulation of 3.5%. Bank has continued to maintain liquidity coverage ratio of about 200%, while the excess SLR is around 6% of the NDTM. I will stop at this level. Now we will open it up for questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one. First question is from Aditya Kondavar from JST Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Congrats on a good set of numbers. So I just wanted some flavor on the moratorium book, if you can. Thank you.
So our moratorium is only 15% as on date. 2,000 crores is the book size. In fact, we have released the data for August. The September data will take some more time. For the DA transactions, we have to get the data from NBFC, then only we'll be in a position to release it. So August data when we collected, 18% was the provision, 18% was the moratorium book, out of which 47% collection has been made. Subsequently, collection has improved over a period. Only 1.5% of my customers have not paid even a single installment as on the day. It's a very low number. Even those customers have started paying subsequently, this number has come down. So this 2,000 crores book also, substantial amount has been recovered. And after the moratorium is lifted, we are seeing the tendency that most of the customers have started paying now. So there's not much of worry on the moratorium side.
Sure, sir. Understood. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Nalin Shah from NVS Brokerage Private Limited. Please go ahead.
At the outset, sir, let me offer my heartiest congratulations on the Q2 and the H1 performance of the bank. It's a really, really very, very credible performance. I must congratulate the whole team led by Mr. Rajendran.
Thank you.
I have some few observations, sir, that your cost to income ratio has come down to 47% or so.
Right.
Going forward, what is the kind of target we are planning to do? Secondly, our retail banking has shown, I think, excellent performance when I see from the segment results. So, can we expect that this kind of retail banking performance will continue to grow in the times to come? That is one. On the other hand, on corporate book, there is some minus 15.82 as per the segment results. So, can we see that also turning into the positive in the times to come? That is my another question. The same applies to NIMs are at 4.5% we have achieved. So can we expect that there is going to be further improvement on this side? So this is what I wanted to know.
First thing is on the cost to income. Constantly it is going down. Our target is to keep it below 50%, which we have achieved during the current quarter.
Correct.
Our intention is to take it below 40%, which industry many people have achieved it. But anyway, year afterwards the fall will not be at the same level.
Yes.
There are limitations to the cost cutting.
Correct.
So, but anyway, income has to improve consistently to bring it to 40%.
Correct.
We'll try hard to do that.
Hmm.
As far as the retail is concerned, retail is driven mainly by the gold loan growth.
Correct.
47% has grown only in the gold loan.
Hmm.
But another bank, which is much, much larger in size, has grown by 52%. Okay. So there is much scope for improvement in the gold loan itself going forward, which we will continue to do.
Hmm.
So gold loan is safer, and we are tightening our systems, underwriting standards, inspection, everything to ensure there is the losses are kept to the minimum. Even otherwise, as we told you earlier, our losses is less than 0.10% when compared to the industry of 0.36%. And your further tightening is happening on the check and control measures. Okay, so the gold loan will continue to grow.
Correct.
So Ravai Pralay Mondal is on the line, and he has joined, and his team is joining one by one.
Mm-hmm.
So Neeraj Dhawan has joined from S Bank. And there are few more recruitees at the leadership level who are likely to join by November end.
Correct.
And they are improving the products, they are enriching the products, and planning for a relaunch of the products with the new processes. Okay.
Yes.
Probably this should happen from January onwards. They will be in the field. The recruitment of the marketing heads is completed, and the marketing officers are being recruited. I think the full team will be in the field by January beginning. And the retail growth on the other retail loans other than gold will happen in the last quarter.
Correct.
So that also happened. That is one portfolio which has not grown, which is an insignificant portfolio at this point of time.
Right.
For life experience and track record, I'm sure that we will be building a much stronger retail portfolio going forward. So the gold will continue to grow, but as a proportion, it should go small in size because of the growth happening in the other retail portfolio.
Correct.
SME is one segment which we are consciously kept away for some time because there is not much of clarity in the SME performance. Wherever there is a clarity in a particular industry, we have started doing. For example, textiles, they have come out of the problems. Textiles, garments, and poultry. These are all the areas. Dairy. These are all the areas where we have started lending again. Once clarity comes in a particular segment, we started lending. Otherwise, we are holding back lending in newer SMEs.
Correct.
MSME is one business which has started only in April end, which is doing really well. Volumes will take time to pick up because it is small ticket lending.
Yes.
Numbers are increasing. Two-wheeler, we were doing about 1,000 vehicles per month before COVID. After COVID, when we opened up, the demand has gone up. Players have come down. As a result, we are doing 2,000 vehicles per month, mostly in Kerala and Tamil Nadu now. Now we are expanding to Andhra, Telangana, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Karnataka. So we will see more growth in the two-wheeler also. But these are all ticket loans, so it will take time to ramp up. So all these things are happening.
Correct.
On the corporate portfolio, it is basically so more than 50% is to NBFCs, which are rated very high, AAA and AA rated accounts. So they are so repricing option every 6 months. When the repricing option comes, now they are raising the commercial papers at less than table rate today. So naturally, repricing happens at a very low rate. We are decided in any of these cases, we don't price so low. As a result, corporate portfolio, there is a degrowth to a certain extent, and the yields are also coming down a bit. That is the nature. And the quality is that AA, you don't make much money in that portfolio.
Correct.
That corporate portfolio will continue to be there, but it is only a parking of funds for us until the SME and other things picks up. Once the SME and other things picks up, we will come out of the corporate portfolio and redeploy it in the high-yielding assets.
Yes.
As far as the NIM is concerned, as I explained, our cost of deposits, cost of funds, both has come down drastically during the last quarter. On the other side, yield on advances have improved. You might have seen yield on advances improving every quarter. We will be in a position to sustain. That's what we believe. Net interest margin of 4.5 is a dream target. We will strive hard to retain it. Okay.
Correct.
If at all it goes down, that is to be compensated by the volume growth.
Right.
I hope I answered all your queries.
Yes, and my last question is that COVID-19 has, I think, this thing rattled many companies, including the many banks and NBFCs, etc. And at the same time, for a large and strong players, it has opened up a good opportunity for inorganic growth. Can you throw any light on if you are considering any inorganic growth or opportunities on this sector now?
No, nothing is in the pipeline as of now. No thinking in the direction at this point of time.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, and once again, congratulations for the excellent performance.
Thank you, boy.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Arun Malhotra from CapGrow Capital Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Just wanted to congratulate the management on an excellent set of numbers. I had few questions. You have shown tremendous growth and improvement across all parameters. Are these sustainable going forward? And you have shown it especially in difficult circumstances. So how sustainable these numbers are, especially the NIM, the cost income, these kind of ROE?
should be sustained. That is our desire. The only thing is, when the volume grows, as I was explaining, when the volume grows, maybe net interest margin maintaining at this level may be a challenge. Because if you grow the housing loans, for example, we are not growing housing loans now. Housing loan is a very competitive market where the interest rates are low, but cross-selling opportunities are more. So housing loans, if you grow the SME book, if you grow the corporate book, yields may get affected to a certain extent because of the excess liquidity condition in the market. But we should be in a position to compensate by way of volume growth. Okay. So we are a very small team at this point of time. Okay. So a large number of new leaders are joining from the new private sector banks who have the track record of growing the balance sheet much faster on a healthier terms. Once their strength is added to our strength today, definitely we will be in a position to grow the balance sheet, and maybe some one or two ratios may get affected when the balance sheet size grows, but that should be compensated by the volume growth. That is what we believe.
Sure. In terms of cost income, we have already reached 47%. How much further cost or excesses are there in the system for us to further squeeze and reach somewhere around 40%, which you mentioned?
No, but many banks have achieved 40%. If you look at my productivity is still low. In our investor presentation, we have given the productivity numbers. If you look at the per branch business and per employee business, we are almost at half the level for the industry as a whole, which means I can double the business in my branches without increasing the fixed expenses on it. Okay. So if the existing units are able to double their business, certainly cost income ratio will go down further. Volume growth has to happen in these branches. Now it is basically only the CASA and the gold is what is happening in the branches. Other things are happening in the vertical. When the retail portfolio is expanding in size, certainly branches will acquire the size which is equivalent to the average business branch business of the industry. That will reduce our per crore of business what is expensive we are incurring. Cost income ratio will go down further. There is a possibility of going down below 40%. We'll strive hard for it.
Sure. And in terms of, can you highlight the fee income for this quarter? How much is the fee income?
Fee income has grown very substantially. We had shown in a separate slide. So one thing, our processing fees has increased by more than 9 crores. And apart from that, we have sold priority sector advances, PSLC certificates we sold for another 9 crores. And the recovery of the return of accounts is around 24 crores. And treasury has also contributed 32 crores by way of profit. Of course, there is a equal amount of depreciation on the other side, but that is accounted elsewhere. So the bank guarantees and LCs have also increased in volume. So that has also contributed. So it is a well distributed income if you look at it. So this will continue to grow. So from
we have tied up those bank insurance with 5
more than 14%. Our effort is to take it to 20%. Non-interest income should go to 20%. For this quarter, we have come to 17.2% is the proportion of non-interest income to total income.
Sure. And have you started distributing investment and insurance products because we have tied up with
They're doing well. They're doing really well. On the wealth management, we don't have other products as of now. We don't distribute even mutual funds at this point. Wealth management is one division which is yet to be formed. Okay. Probably the next financial year we will be in a position to make some headway.
So, and lastly, on the HR front, we are hiring key talent from the private sector. How are the performance incentives aligned,
Today we have only about 1,600 people from the old setup. That is, IBA staff are less than 1,600 people. More than 2,000 people have come from the market only, right? Either they are the direct recruits or they are taken lateral recruits. They are all well settled. Culturally, we have become a new private sector bank to a large extent, except few pockets where we are striving hard to bring in. Most of the branches function like a new private sector bank branch. So it's well accepted. Alignment is very good. These leaders are settling down easily into this culture. I don't find any problem. Okay, they will be in a position to start functioning from January onwards. They will start contributing. No problem in that. And they have proved their skill sets in not one bank. They all worked in 2-3 banks before coming there. So I don't find any problem.
What I meant was, are there any ESOPs for such a new hire?
Of course, the top management is entitled to ESOP. We have ESOP scheme, which we have ESOP trust we have created, and we have allotted to the trust. And one down report is to the MD or entitled to ESOP.
Sure. All right, sir. Thank you and good luck for the coming quarters.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Harish Kapoor from IIFL Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So just a couple of things. First, spoke a little bit about the morat book. It's kind of come down at 1.5% of borrowers not really paying. Could you just kind of give some color on this in terms of the quantum? I think you have also provided in notes to accounts where you have some of the accounts which were overdue and which are at around 127 crores or so. That's around 1% of your book. You've kind of provided 10% there. But if you could just match both of those and kind of give the quantum out for 1.5% not paying, and also what is the expected impact going ahead on just this pool.
See, how we have made a provision is that whatever be the SMA on 31/3/2020, we have made 10% provision, okay, which is the 31/3/2020 SMA, which is continuing as an SMA. On 36/2020 SMA, which continues to be SMA on 39/2020, is only 110 crores. Again, we have made 10% provision on that also. SMA accounts which have become SMA only in 39/2020 is around 309 crores. So 198 crores. Sorry, 198 crores. So out of which 10 crores is 10% is provided there also.
So what was the last number as on 30th August? 138 crores.
198 crores.
198 crores. You provided 10% for that.
10% on that. So moratorium availed accounts as on 39/2020 is about 2006 crores. Okay. Minus 336 crores which we have provided earlier. So remaining amount we have provided 1.5%. Okay. So on 336 crores we already provided 10%. On the remaining amount of 1,664 crores we have provided 1.5%. These are moratorium availed accounts. And we have also provided 25% on the assets which might have been classified as the NPA, but for the Supreme Court decision of not declaring NPA. So that is only a small amount. It's less than 9 crores, so about 2.2 crores is provided on that. So as on date, 60 crores of provision is made for the COVID-related accounts.
Okay, sir. And you expect any of these behaviors in terms of repayment, any other, your risk team, etc., this pool could increase? What are, those indicators for your portfolio?
So we have talked to almost all major clients directly. Even though there are no requests for refacement at this point of time, 67 crores worth of accounts may come for refacement at this point of time. Even if there are unknown accounts which are coming into it, it can go up to 75 crores. That is what our estimate. And similarly, the SMA 1 and 2 together is only around 95 crores is there. Okay. SMA 1 and 2 as on 39. Okay. Some of the accounts may slip on this. Okay, this is what our expectation. But for both together, we have enough of provision. 60 crores would be much more than enough.
So around 95 crores, maybe some part of this could slip, and around 75 crores, if I got it right, you're kind of talking about could restructure also. Is that right?
95 crores is only SMA 1 and 2.
This is 94 only rescheduling and also the slippage.
So, not 95 crores will slip. 95 crores, some of the accounts may slip. That is what our anticipation.
Yeah, sure. Sure, sir. Sir, second, if you can talk about margins, last call again, you were around 4%, and you had indicated in some of the steps that you're taking, and spoke about maintaining it at that level, but there has been a pretty sharp improvement in the margins. You alluded to trying to maintain it, but what is your sense on this? How sustainable this is, and what is your expectation going ahead from a margin standpoint?
See, one part of the contribution has come from the borrowings. Okay, we have borrowed more than 3,000 crores during this period. The underlying securities were giving more than 6% yield to us. So we borrowed at an average of around 3.4% or so. So again, we have deployed it, some of the portions in the credit, some portion in the TLTRO investments, where the yield is high. So naturally, the treasury operation, to the extent of 3,000 crores of borrowing and redeploying, has increased apart from the positive carry on the underlying securities. So you cannot continue with the same portfolio forever because the depreciation risk is high. In fact, we faced the depreciation risk in the last quarter. Now the things have improved after the credit policy. The depreciation has come down to less than 10 crores. So we may not maintain the same kind of investments going forward. We will unwind. We have started unwinding already. So that portion of contribution from the treasury by way of additional interest income and positive carry may not be available in the future. But when the underlying assets are sold and redeployed in the credit, naturally margins will be better. To a certain extent, it will be protected. There could be some impact on the interest income going forward, but there won't be any depreciation in future. So that should compensate each other. And we may be in a position to maintain the same kind of spread.
But sir, some other additional, TLTRO line which is available, you believe that could also be helpful, and for a quarter or two, you could still get some better trends just because of that?
TLTRO is available, but securities are not available at the yields that we bought.
Okay, sure, sir.
The bond yields have gone down very substantially today. It doesn't make sense to enter into the bonds at this point of time. The liquidity is excess, so naturally the price is driven down already. This is a one-time opportunity available at the time which we captured.
Sure, sir. And lastly, sir, if you can, from the deposit side, if you could just talk about NRE deposit as a percentage of your deposit pool, and what traction you're kind of seeing there and how that is shaping up.
So NRE deposits are growing well. We have grown by more than 34% during the current quarter, which is comparatively percentage-wise, it is much better than the competition. But our size is very small when compared to the competition. Our NRE deposit in absolute terms is very, very small. So I don't claim it is a great achievement. But considering the potentiality of Kerala, what we have captured is very less. This is one area where we would like to have better growth in the place. Because our NRE deposit growth for the current quarter is 3.77%, whereas competition has grown around 2.54 and 2.13. So our growth rate is better, but nothing to claim great about it because our base is very small. So there is tremendous scope for improvement in NRE deposit. This is one area which will receive our attention.
So what is the percentage of your deposit, NRE as a percentage of your total deposit?
About 23% is our NRE deposit. 23-24% will be the NRE deposits.
Sir, just a request going ahead, if you can just put this data on your PPT, will be helpful.
Yeah, we will put it.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Kapoor. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. Next participant is Pranav Gupta from Birla Sun Life. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good evening. Just a couple of questions. So sir, first a clarification, in your PPT, when you say that moratorium as on 30th of September is about 13% of loan, 15% of loans. Sorry. I mean, is this customers who have not paid in September, or is this customers who you are still seeking to get repayments from? I just want some clarification because moratorium was over in August, right? So what does this 15% number signify?
See, this 2,000 crores is a total loans where there is an availment of moratorium to some extent. So even if he has not paid one installment also, that is a moratorium availed account. Okay. So last time up to August we have released the data. September data it is not available immediately because there is a DA portfolio for which you have to collect the data from the NBFCs and then we have to make it available. So September data is not immediately available. According to the August data, 47% of the installments fallen due up to the date we have collected it, even in the moratorium, which means if there is a 2,000 crores of a moratorium size, in which the whatever installments were fallen due, out of which 47 is collected up to the August. That number has further improved in September. So it should be better number now. So moratorium availed accounts. What is the exposure to these accounts is what indicated by the 2,000 crores.
Okay, so even in August, 47% of these 2,000 crore worth of borrowers have paid installments in August as well. Is that the right understanding?
Some might have paid one installment, some might have paid two, some might have paid three, some might have paid four, some might have paid five also, right? That differs. Okay. So overall, average is 47% installments are collected.
Okay, so they might not have paid in August itself, but they might have paid something during the moratorium period.
So 47%, almost half the amount is paid out of that.
Okay. Sir, and some more color on the SME segment specifically in terms of moratorium, if you can give as on August, whether more customers have paid fewer installments or what's the trend there in the SME portfolio specifically?
SME portfolio, there are people who are not serviced the interest which we have converted into the funded interest term loan, that is around 35 crores, which they have the option to pay during the next 6 months. They will be in a position to pay. And similarly, we have also provided this government guaranteed COVID loan as well as our COVID loan, our own scheme, which comes to roughly about 100 crores of additional loans have been given to the people to meet the working capital requirements during this period. Okay. These are the only two provisions which are made. Refacements, there is no request at this point of time. If a refacement request comes, we will look into it.
That FITL conversion is 35 crores.
35 crores is the FITL. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, and just one last question from my end before I join the queue. You said that you have started lending again in the SME space in particular sectors, and you mentioned textiles. What are the trends you're seeing in that sector, sir, in terms of whether the sales for them are returning to normalcy or whether this is just a blip because of the credit guarantee scheme money that they have that this sector has received? Are underlying business fundamentals improving now, or is this just because there isn't more liquidity which has been made available to them?
Spinning mills are saying that they are getting huge orders. So the stock which was piled up because the Bhiwandi market and the Ichalkaranji market is not opened up, it started depleting because other markets are absorbing. I am told that now Ichalkaranji and Bhiwandi is also opened up. So spinning mills, which is a major exposure for us, are doing well. The government segment, particularly from Tirupur, Erode, Salem and other areas, they are also getting lot of orders today. Large amount of orders they are able to get. So I think that segment is also doing well. So only the cotton we have to see after the crop is available to us. Cotton prices have gone down. But now what is the sown area and how much is the yield, we have to wait to look at what is the cotton price. If cotton price remains at the present level or goes down further, spinning mills profitability will increase substantially because sown area is very high. Only thing is the whitefly and other attacks should not happen to reduce the yield on cotton. If the yield also maintained, price will be comparatively much less if exports are not permitted. So then the textile mill profitability will increase. As of now, demand has come back and the price is reasonable at this point. Both raw material price as well as the yarn price is reasonable. So most of them are happy and most of them have started servicing as per the revised terms. Only one or two have come for additional loans. Right? Many people are not availed even the COVID loan.
Understood. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one. Next participant is Abhijit Vara from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
So thank you for taking my question, sir. Congratulations on very good set of numbers. So first question is, you have shared your provisioning norms in the PPT, but I also wanted to check, is there any target, for PCR you have in mind or the board has in mind which you want to achieve? PCR is constantly going up. What is the ideal level, considering the LGD of portfolio or comfort levels of the management? Can you share something on this?
As for an ideal level, it is 100%.
Okay.
So 54% we have achieved. And we have an accelerated provisioning policy. So we continue with the same policy so far. If you take into consideration the general provision which we have made, which is almost 6% now. So our provision coverage ratio in the real term is 90% too. So we will continue to provide more and possible. We'll try to attain 100% over a period.
Right. Right. So how do we see the credit cost in the near term? It is well appreciated that, your slippages or restructured book will be quite limited. But how do we understand, credit costs impact in the near term, let us say next 2-3 quarters? Will you continue to have higher provisioning to, as you said, you want to take the PCR much higher, so you'll continue to have much higher credit costs, or it will be sort of, you'll want to achieve it over a period of time, let us say 2 years, 3 years?
Now, credit costs at this point, I'm not expecting any negative surprises on that side. Most of the things are under control. Okay, I'm not seeing any bigger conflicting. So credit cost should be maintained below 1% is our target always. I think we'll be in a position to maintain it.
Sure, sir. And second question is, the fee income growth, you did mention that other income, non-interest income, you want to take it up higher. What is driving the fee income growth? Some drivers if you can share. Also, what are the plans to take it up from 17% to 20% you were sharing? Any concrete?
If you look at it, every segment of fee income has increased. Processing fees has increased. Bank guarantee commission has increased. LC commissions have increased. Except the forward premium, forward exchange which we used to do, that has come down because exports have come down. All other areas, including the safe deposit locker charges, have increased. So the transaction fees has increased. Bank assurance commission has increased. So every segment has increased. Every segment will continue to grow going forward. So in fact, RBI has put a lot of restriction on collection of the transaction fees during this period, COVID period. You cannot collect the ATM charges, even though we are incurring for the customer using other bank ATM. We are not permitted to collect it from the customers. Once these restrictions are going, and even the fee income will also increase. So we are firing on all cylinders. And there are new revenues will also come in, like wealth management, many ways short. That is other area which should come in. And loan growth, when it is happening, naturally the PF will also increase. 20% should not be a problem. If you look at our track record, we started at 6% 1 year back. Now it has come to 17%. So, of course, the rate of recoveries can increase. Treasury income can also increase. But these are all windfall gains. On a sustainable basis, the fee income should reach 20% is our target. At this point, we believe that it is possible.
Sure. Also, sir, you did mention on the SME portion, right? You are looking at selectively growing the loan book. Any other segments also you are looking to grow apart from gold? Gold has almost touched 7% now. I think target is 40%, right? Ceiling. So what other areas are opening up for you? Two-wheelers you also mentioned. But what can keep driving the loan growth?
Particularly on the retail segment, all non-discretionary spending areas are potential areas, which is recession-proof, which is COVID-proof we have seen. So those businesses which survived during this COVID period are the right businesses to lend. That is a call which we have taken, which we are doing it. Of course, many of the lenders have gone down on that. They also tightened the underwriting norms. So that gives an opportunity in the market. We will be in a position to penetrate this market. That's the main area. Of course, the SME, as I said, in the larger accounts, we go by industry-wise, which are all the industries reviving. For example, poultry has come back with the vengeance now. Egg prices are 6 rupees per day. Right? Even in the inflation, you look at it, it is only the protein inflation. The current inflation, which is increasing in the CPI, is only a protein inflation, which Subir Kokran used to discuss when he was a deputy governor in those days, right? So naturally, poultry seems to be a good area. Dairy suffered a lot because of the migrant population moving out, and their stocks were piling up. Now the dairy has come back. So dairy, poultry, all agri processing are doing really well. I think that will be a good area to go. And construction is also coming back. Not the real estate, but the contractors who are getting, because government spending is the first thing which has to happen to revive the economy, which the government is doing. Smart city projects, pre-funded projects, and these are all the areas where we have started supporting the contractors in a big way. These are all the areas which are seen in the recent past. Anyway, we keep analyzing all the industries. Wherever there is an opportunity, we will take it up.
Will you also get into unsecured loans, sir? Let us say business loans or retail loans. Any idea there?
Yeah. We are getting into it, but still they are all in the lab phase only. Product evaluation and other things are going on. Once we settle down with it, already we have some unsecured loan portfolio, but that is only confined to selected corporates and their employees. So now we will introduce a general product. Pralay is working on it. Pralay, would you like to elaborate on it?
Yes, sir. I think, see, the way we are looking at it is we already have a very strong franchise on the gold loan side, and we will continue to strengthen that franchise. At the same time, to scale up the balance sheet, we have to do various other things, and the first thing starts with how do we build a customer franchise. And customer franchise means how do we get more customers. Through whichever route they come, doesn't matter whether it is liability or assets or gold loans or whichever products. But at the end of the day, how do we get the full relationship value of the customer is something we'll focus on. The second thing is, you can only create a strong franchise when you have full suite of products. Now, truth is that given the kind of rates which are there in the markets in some of the products like home loans and some of the other businesses, we may or may not scale those businesses up very quickly. But we need to have those products on our product suite with a proper processing, etc. Because to create a larger customer franchise, we need to be one-stop shop banking at the end of the day. And hence, whether it is wealth product, whether it is retail assets products, whether it will be, some of the other products like, whether through alliances or through directly some of the other products which we will build, including prepaid, forex, credit, we'll figure that out. But at the end of the day, we have to have a full suite of products with customers. The third part is to create, unless we have 2 or 3 products with a customer, we cannot build a large profitable customer franchise and scale the business. And last part I would like to talk about it, we have to leverage our branches a lot more. And that can only happen when we have a very strong customer acquisition strategy with a full product suite and, proper customer segmentation. And hence, what portion of the customers we get, where we can get a full value of the customers, the primary banking and a higher share of wallet is something which we'll focus on. Most important, of course, is as we do all this, how do we manage and retain our cost management? Because revenue has to grow along with cost. How do we leverage your branches? The good thing is that we have already invested into the branches, and hence, if we can leverage them well, we can we can continue to invest with and at the same time generate revenue. And the last thing I'll say that some of these businesses needs very strong policy, risk management, underwriting, and controls. And me and Neeraj, we are working on that, because unless we put those processes and controls in place, suddenly scaling up is not a good idea. And the good part is we will be launching these products, or it's not launching, relaunching, because some of these products are already there in the bank. With putting the right policies and controls mechanisms, we will, in a way, moderate them and relaunch them. And the good part is we'll catch the right cycle, because we'll take another, 3, 6, 9 months, depending on which products we're talking about. And as we gain scale in these businesses, what will happen is that's the time we will know exactly impact of the COVID in the next 3, 6, 9 months. And then we will catch the cycle when we know the story behind us, good, bad, ugly, however it is, not about us, but about the overall ecosystem. And hence, the businesses which we'll build will catch the right cycle. So that's the thought process overall. Under Mr. Rajendran's guidance, we'll ensure that, we take the right steps with culturally the way the bank has been, because it's not a question of doing what other banks are doing right. We have to do what is right for our bank and our customers. And as we grow, we have to ensure that how do we create the higher customer penetration into the franchise and grow customer acquisition. So that's broadly the retail strategy at this stage. Too early for me to comment on anything more, but maybe in the next analyst call, I'll be able to give you more details and color on the whole thing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your response. Sir, two more questions. Sir, on agri and MFI loans, 234 crores, even that has grown quite strong. Can you please elaborate, what's happening there and how does it look in the near term?
We have brought a team from outside, who are used to this agri lending in a different way, apart from the conventional KCC. That team has started working well. We have recruited a lot of fresh graduates from agriculture colleges and trained them. In Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Maharashtra, we have the team now. They are doing really well. The ticket sizes are small, but still volumes have grown to 259 crores so far, which is very impressive, and the quality of the portfolio is also good. They are identifying many new areas now. So these three markets are providing enough opportunities, but we will also get into the other markets. Now Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana is also in the pipeline. New branches are getting opened. As we explained last time, 100 branches we are permitted to open. Subsequently, few more branches we are permitted, out of which almost 35 branches are open, and another 30 branches are in the pipeline. So the furnishing and other work is going on, but we are confident in the centenary year we will be in a position to open 100 branches. And the 10 branches they have opened during the last year, they were able to break even during the first year of operation itself. That gives us a lot of encouragement that this model will work. So the new branches normally focus only on CASA, Gold, MSME and Agri, because the location selected is mostly like that. 70% of the branches are in semi-urban and rural areas. These branches focus only on this business, and the right kind of products and strategy is working well. And agriculture is doing extremely well. The monsoon is good, and the ancillary sectors like poultry, the food processing and the dairy, they are also doing well. So together agriculture is, this agriculture what you are talking about only the direct agriculture, but even the food processing and all which get into the SME segment, they are also doing really well.
What will be the total exposure to agriculture, including MSME, food processing, etc. you mentioned? What will be the total exposure as a percentage?
That is the third largest exposure. I remember it should be around 2.5% or so.
Okay. And the yields here are comparable to the reported yields, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. They're not too much lower.
No. We don't compromise much on the yield.
Right. One last question, sir. I'll get back to you after this. The cost of TD, right? Do you see the cost of TD coming down further, or you think you'll have to maintain this level to attract more deposits?
Not required, because we don't go by a pricing strategy always, right? So we don't offer a higher rate at any point of time. Deposits are flowing in. So much of liquidity in the market. Getting deposits is not a problem. Recently we have entered the CD also. We have raised the CD today. So after getting our rating, we were able to raise at the market related rate. So that will also become one more strategy for raising resources. We are able to attract deposits at the short rates. And in fact, the wholesale deposits, we have put a embargo on it. Every branch has to seek a prior permission before taking deposit. That is our stand. So we never allowed the liability to grow in our system because we were not able to deploy. For the first time, we have reached almost 80% CD ratio today. That is why we permitted the liabilities to grow. So liabilities are growing. We are always strong in liabilities. That's what we were telling all along. Liabilities have never been a challenge. It is only a deployment which was a challenge for us, which we are able to address to a large extent. We don't find any problem in raising liabilities.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all your responses. Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Jehan Bada from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, for the month of September, what was the collection efficiency? I guess the moratorium figure is, actually not giving a very clear picture. So if you can just...
Interrupt you.
Yeah.
Your voice is not coming so clear, it's coming very muffled.
Yeah.
He is asking about the collection efficiency.
Yeah. So for the amount that was due for September month, how much have you collected from the due amount?
See, as I said, for the DA portfolio, I'm not able to get the data yet. It will take time. For my own portfolio, it was going to be somewhere around 80 to 85% of the demand for September month.
Okay. So which is indirectly the same, the 15% moratorium. So it comes to the same. So collection efficiency should be above 85%.
True.
Okay. Right. And so and on the advances side, if we take a 3-4 year view, sir, what can be the advances growth that we should look at?
We are growing almost at 24% for the last 3 years, except 1 year in between where we have grown at 18%.
Mm-hmm.
We are growing at 24%. So time also we are targeting at least 25% growth on the advance side, which should be possible by almost the March number. So 25% should be possible.
Okay. And so last question on now our gold yields have touched 12.5%. Is there further scope to increase this marginally?
Sorry, I'm not getting your question from.
So gold yields have now touched 12.5%. So can this increase further?
No, our lending rate is 13.5%. When the old loans are getting close and when they are repriced, probably the yield can improve further, but of course scope is limited. Okay. Loans are priced at a lesser rate. Blended yield can be around this level, and little improvement can be there over and above this, unless we raise the pricing, which we are not proposing at this point of time.
Okay, so at the time of IPO, we were talking about increasing gold yield, so that most of the journey has been achieved. So from these levels, there is limited scope, right?
There will be some improvement, as I said. When the repricing happens, there will be some improvement.
Okay.
We may move towards the 13%.
Right. Okay, fine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take the last question from the line of Aditya Kondawar from GST Investment Consulting. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, sir. Sorry, I had to disconnect briefly in between, so please excuse me if this is a repeat question. But I just wanted to know the loss given default and how much slippage do you expect from it?
LGD number?
We are not completing. We are not applying.
Not having the LGD number readily, you have to go only with the provision numbers.
As per Indian GAAP, we are doing this.
Yeah.
You don't have the banks or not.
Let me try in the next presentation whether we can include it. We'll try.
For IFRS, we are doing, but whether
For IFRS, we are doing it for a different purpose, but that's not readily available because IFRS happens after the audit is over. So whether we can include it in the next presentation, let me try. Okay.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to Mr. Manish Karwa for closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you all for participating in this call. I must also thank the management for giving us a chance to host this call. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Axis Capital Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your line. Thank you.